A letter from distinguished Senator Obinna J. Ogba, Chairman, Senate Committee on Youth and Sports. Your Excellency, notification of a glorious exit and invitation to the burial ceremony of our father, late Chief Ogba Oku Odo Omehifu, one of Nkalagu, Ishelu, local government, Ebonyi State. It is with a heart filled with grief, but with gratitude to God for a life spent peacefully and honorably, that I, distinguished Senator Obinna Ogba, on behalf of the entire Ogboku Odo family, announce the journey unto glory of our dearly beloved father, late Chief Ogba Oku Odo Omehifu, one of Nkalagu, who slept in the Lord on Thursday, 10th December 2020, at the enviable age of 105. Our late father was an outstanding community leader. As a politician, he contested and won the councillorship of our ward and left indelible marks on the sands of time. He was a farmer of great repute, a role model blessed with legendary passion and penchant for human development. Until his death, he was a custodian of traditional rights of our people and a member of Igwe's cabinet of Nkalagu Autonomous Community. His funeral rites will be held at his family compound at Amamvu, Nkalagu, cabinet of Nkalagu Autonomous Community. On Saturday, his funeral rites will be held at his family compound. It is our utmost desire that as we commit his remains to Mother Earth, we sincerely request your esteemed presence at the event to graciously identify with us in this moment of grief and in honor of our departed father. Letters of condolences and tributes can be sent latest 25th February 2021 via this email. The email, Senator Ogba, the email should be made available to our colleagues. You can send the email to our platform. Yeah, send it to our platform so that senators or forwarded to seat 1.03 New Senate Building, National Assembly, Abuja. Please accept the assurances of my warmest regards. Senator Obinna J. Ogba. Petitions. Petition DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I have 4 petitions from my constituents. Mr. President, because of constraint of time, if you permit me, I'd like to take the 4 together and listen. Mr. President, the first petition is from a constituent of mine whose name is Michael Emeriewen. It is dated the 29th day of June, 2020, and it is a petition against the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Mr. President, this petition seeks the intervention of the Senate. Mr. President, the next petition is from another constituent. The name is Friday Okbomo. It is dated the 15th day of November, 2020. And the petition, Mr. President, is against unlawful dismissal against the Nigerian police force, and most especially the Delta State Police Command. Mr. President, the third petition is from another constituent, the Association of NMPC Disengaged Casual Temporary Staff in Warri Zone. Mr. President, this petition is dated the 24th day of November 2020. 2020. Mr. President, this petition also seeks the intervention of the Senate. Finally, Mr. President, I have another petition from a constituent whose name, Mr. President, is Mr. Anthony Salubi. A petition is dated the 23rd day of November 2020, and it is against the University of Ibadan, and it alleges non-release of results and award of degree certificate to the said Mr. Salubi, despite his satisfaction of all of the academic requirements. Mr. President, there is no pending litigation in all 4 petitions. I crave your indulgence to permit me to lay the same question, Mr. President.
You may lay the petitions. The petitions are referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Petitions? Senator Ayo Patrick Akinyelure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akinyelure, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, presentation of petition not late, but referred to the Committee of Ethics from the Office of the President of the Senate. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition in line with Order 41.1 and 3, which is to present to the Senate some petition yet to be laid from the Office of the President of the Senate in order to officially place the petitions in public domain through the floor of the Senate, and for the votes and proceedings to capture the approval for referral. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, please find below the summary of the petition received from the Office of the Senate President for ease of reference. Number 1, petitioner, Amazi Edet Effiong. Respondent, AGF, Accountant General of the Federation, National Pension Commission and Trust Fund Pension. Subject of the petition from Amazi Edet Effiong over the short payment of his entitlement benefit of about 1.5 million in respect of Amazi Edet Effiong, former Akpan Edet Effiong, as a result of non-inclusion of years 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, and up to September 2014, April 2015, and March 2018, among others, in the recompilation of his retirement contribution. Number 2, Alhaji M.A. Fadumoye Esquire. Respondent, Ministry of Police Affairs. Petition from Alhaji M.A. Fadumoye Esquire on behalf of civilian teaching and non-teaching staff of Education Unit of Nigerian Police Force against Ministry of Police Affairs. Ministry of Police Affairs. Stagnant grade petition from Alhaji M.A. Fadumoye Esquire on behalf of civilian teaching and non-teaching staff of Education Unit of Nigerian Police Force. Number 3, Ministry of Police Affairs against Commissioner of Police, Akwa Ibom State. An appeal for intervention against threat to my life and forceful confiscation of my father's land by the Akwa Ibom Commissioner of Police, Mr. Amagheme, Inobeme, Andrew, and others. Number 4, Dr. John Ndubusi Fidelis, Alhaji Woman in Brazil, Polaris Bank, top management of NMPC Brass LNG Investment Fund, and 6 other companies. They are the respondents. Petition against Polaris Bank Limited in connivance with top management of NMPC Brass LNG Investment Fund with sub-account narrow network protocol operation for illegally transferring $446 million, $839 and 828.20 from NMPC main account, domicile with Polaris Bank PLC, Asokoro branch, Abuja, belonging to Federal Government of Nigeria, various accounts without BVN in some identified commercial banks in Nigeria for recovery to Federation accounts. Number 5, Pastor Bernard O. Dawson. Respondent, the Nigerian Police Force. Petition against the Nigerian Police Force in the way they corruptly handled the murder case of my son at Zone E, Onikan, Lagos. Number 6, Eraston Ade Davis and Dr. Donatus Akpabio. Respondent, First Bank of Nigeria PLC. Petition against First Bank of Nigeria PLC for non-disclosure of some NNPC account domiciled with it without BVN, ranging to several billions of nairas of dollars, conniving with some top past and present management of NNPC for recovery to Federation account, a call for Senate investigation and recovery. Number 7, Chief Inikio Sam Seledede and 3 others against Shell Petroleum PLC. A solemn appeal for your intervention. A case of devastation of our ecosystem, damage to marine life, human health, and livelihood by the activities of Shell Petroleum Limited. Number 8, DA Oyawiri against federal voucher staff. Embezzlement for suspension of my federal pension for 4 years and 11 months from January 2016 to November 2020. 9, Victor Olateyogun Esquire. Respondent, Professor M.S. Haruna, the Executive Vice Chairman, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, and Engineer Dr. S.O.O. Oluchide, the Managing Director of Engineering Managerial Institute, a victim of a public officer at the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, request for protection and justice. Number 10, Chinedu Eze Esquire against Nigeria Police Force. Restatement of AP number 30429, Sunday Egu, ex-SP, to the service of the Nigeria Police Force. Number 11, ex-Sergeant Abdullahi Kutuma against Nigerian Army. Compassionate appeal for restatement into the Nigerian Army. And finally, Mr. President, Comrade Anwar Abdullahi Aliyu against federal government. Demand for compensation for the victims and casualties of NSAS protest. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petition is seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, Mr. President, to seek the indulgence of the Senate of Federal Republic to lay the above petition before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action. Mr. President, I so move.
Is any of them seeking a judicial remedy? You may lay the petitions. The petitions are referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report by within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Any more petitions? Point of order, Minority Whip.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, thank you. My name is Distinguished Senator Philip Tenimo Aduda. I represent the very good people of the FCT. Mr. President, I'd like to come under Order 43. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in details to the President of the Senate when this is leave to make it be sought. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I did yesterday raise some issues with you, Your Excellency, about the issue of the appointment of ambassadors. Your Excellency, I've consistently mentioned that before now we used to have a non-career ambassador for the FCT. But when the first list came, FCT was omitted. Second list came, FCT was omitted. And then we have another opportunity where the FCT is supposed to be presented, but FCT has still been omitted. Your Excellency, this gives us worry in the FCT because it is showing that maybe federal character or something is wrong somewhere. Mr. President, we know that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has the power to hire and to fire. But Mr. President, we urge you as our leader and speaker for the people of the FCT, and indeed the President, who incidentally by the Constitution, Section 299, happens to be the governor of the FCT, that in sharing this thing, as our governor, he should look at us and please grant us our heart desire, which is to have a non-career ambassador for the FCT. Indeed, the opportunity has come again when some ambassadorial nominees have been submitted, and the committee will be doing its work very soon. We want to crave the indulgence of the Senate, and it is a constitutional matter, Your Excellency. So, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, here I come again today with the hope that we will get support from our State House of Assembly, which is the National Assembly, and indeed the Senate, and you as chairman, to intervene in this matter and ensure that for the people of the FCT, we have a non-career ambassador. And you as our speaker, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Minority Whip. I understand, and we all know that these nominees or nominations came in phases. 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe it's my belief that the nomination for a non-career ambassador for the FCT will come in the 5th phase. And as Speaker of the FCT 5th phase House of Assembly, and as members and as Speaker House of Assembly, we are appealing to the executive to send the nomination of a non-career ambassador nominee for the FCT in the 5th and final phase. Thank you. Point of order, Senator Alimekena Francis.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Francis Alimekena, representing the good people of Edo North. I rise under 43. By your power, I read, Mr. President. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor debate arise from the explanation. The term of the proposed statement shall be submitted in details to the President of the Senate when it's left to make it his own. Mr. President, I rise for the demise of one of my illustrious constituents, Priest Tony Momo. With your permission, I will to read the citation.
You have come under personal explanation, so explain what it is.
The Senate note will grave the death of Priest Tony Momo, a veteran journalist and politician who died in Abuja on Monday, 1st February 2021, at the age of 81 years. The Senate note that Priest Tony Momo was born on the 27th April 1939 in Auchi, Edo State. He was the 165th child of King Momo I of Auchi. He attended government secondary school, government school Auchi, and agricultural school of 1949 to 1954. He was headmaster at the agricultural school Ubuneke, Iriaro, Owa East Local Government, January 1958 to December 1959. He went to the Provincial Teacher Training College, Abudu, Edo State, and Government Teacher College, Abraka, 1960 to 61.
The Senate know that Prince Tony Momo started his journalist career as a sub-editor at the Daily Times in October 1962, rising steadily through the ranks to become editor and deputy general manager June 1976 to 1980. The Senate are aware that while working at the Daily Times and also on sabbatical leave, he went to the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, to read mass communication in September 1964 and finished in 1966 at the University of Lagos as a result of Nigeria's Civil War, where he earned a degree in mass communication. He also read law in the University of Lagos, where he obtained his LLB honors, and attended the Nigerian Law School October 1974 to May 1975, and was called to bar in June 1975. Recall that he was appointed Minister of Information and Culture by General Ibrahim Babangida in September 1986 till 1990. He was chairman of Africa Conference of Information Ministers from 1988 to 1990. The Senate recalled that he was the chairman of Board of Directors of Nigeria Airways from 1991 to 1993. He was appointed a member of Edo State Economic Advisory Committee in 1991 and a member of the Nigeria Press Council in December 1992. I was the chairman Governing Council for Chancellor, University of Jos, 2017 to February 2021. The Senate is aware that as a Democrat, he played active role in the formation of various political platforms at the transition stage in Nigeria from military to civilian rule. He was a media director of Alex Ekweme Presidential Campaign Organization in 1999. Aware also that he was the chairman, Media and Publicity Committee of All Nigeria People's Party AMPP Campaign Organization in 2003 and 2007 election, and was appointed chairman of the Congress of Progressive Change, CPC, in led up to April 2011 general election, and led the CPC to a measure that gave birth to APC. He is often referred to as one of the legacy chairmen of APC. The Senate confirms that his death will leave an indelible mark in the journalism, law, administration, and political strategy. Further aware that his death is a great loss not only to his Edo North and Edo State, but to the nation as a whole, and accordingly resolved to observe 1 minute silence in honor of the priest Tony Momo, to send a delegation to condole with the government and the people of Edo State and the Auchi Kingdom on this great loss, and 3, all the federal government of Nigeria to immortalize him by naming a national monument in his honor. I so move, Mr. President.
Because you have come under our standing order 43, nobody contributes, and we can take the request for observing a minute silence, but not any other more. 1 minute silence, please. May the soul of late Prince Tony Momo rest in perfect peace. Amen.
Point of order.
Point of order. Point of order. Senator Peter Wabishi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I come under Order 43. Personal explanation. Mr. President, by the indulgence of the Senate, and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator will make a personal explanation. There be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor any debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought.
Mr. President,
This morning, I brought to your attention about the death of distinguished Senator Obi Nosikepo, who represented the good people of Bendel.
you have come under Order 43. Okay.
To bring to the attention of the Senate the death of distinguished Senator Nosikepo, who represented the Bendel East Senatorial District in the Second Republic. Mr. President, it was heavy heart that I formally announced to the distinguished President of the Senate and colleagues in these hallowed chambers the passing into glory of a true exceptional legend, distinguished Senator Nosikepo, on the 23rd of January 2021. Senator Nosikepo was a highly reverend chief and a two-term senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He was elected in 1979 and re-elected in 1983. He represented the then Bendel East Senatorial District, presently the Delta North Senatorial District of Nigeria. The distinguished senator, who was orphaned very early in life, started from a humble beginning, but by dint of hard work and perseverance, obtained his GCA level and GCO level, inter LLB, as a private candidate. He rose astronomically as a plant boy at the Nigerian Railway Corporation of Kwara State in 1950, Secretary Buzo Union in 1954, becoming the organizing secretary of Sabah Division, organizing secretary Action Group in 1958, principal organizing secretary Midwest Region Action Group in 1961, pioneer councillor representing Ibuzo in the then Oshimili local government in 1976, state organizing secretary Unity Party of Nigeria 1977 to 1978, having been a foundation member of Committee of Friends that formed the Unity Party of Nigeria, to becoming a two-time senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1979 and was re-elected in 1983. He was a consummate community leader of high repute, a dynamo of a parliamentarian and politician who channeled his creative energy to the service of God, humanity, and nation building, having associated and worked closely with great Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Interestingly, he was the first witness number 12 in the feeble treasonable felony of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He was a great thinker, a consummate political mobilizer, and leader of leaders. As chairman of Anioma State Movement in the early 80s, he took the struggle to the highest pinnacle. He set up structures nationwide and in diaspora, as well as presenting bill for the creation of Anioma State at the National Assembly, which was one of the 14 successful proposed bill states that passed through the National Assembly Committee on State Creation in 1983, but was one of two states not created by the succeeding military regimes. Unfortunately, it will be a great legacy to his cherished memory and people of Anioma State, whose motion has been presented or request has been presented to these hallowed chambers if they receive your consideration. He was my most impactful mentor and father figure. I was nurtured and tutored by him politically as his personal assistant, a platform that enabled me to hold various higher positions, culminated in my reenacting his political feat by becoming a two-time senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, representing Delta North Senatorial District, first in 2015 and again in 2019. This is the senatorial district that he represented 2 times. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I believe that such a national icon as the distinguished Senator Nosikiko is sage by excellence, who contributed immensely to the unity and peaceful coexistence of our Neoma and Nigeria as a whole. It deserves a special recognition. Mr. President, because I have come under Order 43 and taking a cue from what you have just done this morning, I urge the Senate to observe a 1-minute silence. Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
Thank you, distinguished Peter Omobishi. 1 minute silence, please. Let him bring it now. Let him bring it. May the soul of the distinguished Senator Obi Nosike Ikpo rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in my name on the Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigation Professionals of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2021. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Order.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigative Professionals of Nigeria, Establishment Bill 2021, SB 615, first reading.
Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigative Professionals of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2021, SB 615, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Order. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Ahmed Aishatu Dahiru on the Federal Medical Centers Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Centers Establishment Bill 2021, SB 613, first President,
Federal Medical Centers Establishment Bill 2021, SB 613, first reading taken.
2021.
Leader of the Senate. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University Lafayette Teaching Hospital Establishment Bill 2021, SB 616, first reading.
Federal University Lafayette Teaching Hospital Establishment Bill 2021, SB 616, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Rochas Anayo Okorocha on the National Unity Day Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Unity Day Bill 2021, SB 619, first reading.
National Unity Day Bill 2021, SB 619, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Ibukule Amosu on the Emergency Power Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Emergency Power Bill 2021, SB 620, first reading.
Emergency Powers Bill 2021, SB 620, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President and CNC for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in accordance with Section 18, subsection 1 of the Armed Forces Act, Cap 820, LFN 2004. They are Major General Loki Eluanye Oyemecha Rabo as the Chief of Defense Staff. 2, Major General Ibrahim Atahiro, Chief of Army Staff. Number 3, Rear Admiral Anwar Ubairu Gambo, Chief of Naval Staff. And number 4, Air Force Marshal Isiaka Amao, Chief of Air Staff. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the other paper is for the request of Mr. President and CNC to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, move that the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President CNC for the confirmation of the nomination of the service chiefs, Chief of Defense Staff, and other service chiefs of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is referred to the Joint Committee of Defense, Army, Navy, and Air Force to report back within 2 weeks. Senator Amako, is 2 weeks okay? Okay, 2 weeks, Senator Ndime. Malana Allah is not here. Chairman, Navy, Sekibo is not here, but 2 weeks. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, for the confirmation of the nomination of Barrister Victor Chinerem Makoko for appointment as Chairman, Fiscal Responsibility Commission in accordance with Section 5, subsection 3 of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission Act 2007. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the other paper is for the request of Mr. President and CNC to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President and CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President for the confirmation of the chairman of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, Fiscal Responsibility Commission be considered by the Senate, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is referred to the Senate Committee on Finance to report by within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The third order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President CNC for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as non-career ambassadors designate in accordance with Section 171, Subsection 1, Subsection 2C, and Subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. They are General Abayomi G. Olanishaku, retired Ekiti. Number 2, Lieutenant General Tuko Y. Buratai, retired Borno State. Number 3, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete E. Ebert, retired from Cross River State. Number 4, Air Marshal Sadiq B. Abubakar, retired Bauchi State. And number 5, Air Vice Marshal Mohammed S. Usman, retired Kano State. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the other paper is for the request of Mr. President CNC to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I reluctantly second.
Well, thank you very much. At least the word second is there. And Minority Leader, by the way, you know, our processes will not be complete without your secondment. Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the request of Mr. President CNC for the confirmation of the non-career ambassadors named by the Senate, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs has 2 weeks within which to submit its report to the Senate. Chairman, Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. 2 weeks. Is there? Okay, Vice Chairman. Where's the Vice Chairman? Senator Innamani. You are in Foreign Affairs? Okay. You convey, you... It's okay, you have tools to screen the non-career ambassadors. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
It's not coming up. Okay. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is a motion requesting Senate to consider the request of Mr. President CNC in the confirmation of the nomination of Larry Obinna Collins Chukwu for appointment as the Commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission in accordance with Section 2, Subsection 2 of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Cap N118 of 2004. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President CNC to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate considers the request of Mr. President CNC for the confirmation of the Commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. This is referred to the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to report back within 2 weeks. Chairman, 2 weeks? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fifth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions on the confirmation of the nominations of the following persons as listed on the order paper as for appointment as Managing Director and Executive Directors of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. Distinguished senators will recall that the request of Mr. President CNC was referred to the committee on Thursday, 10 December 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Sani Uba, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Obasani.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, Obasani representing Kaduna Central, I move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions on the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as Managing Director and Executive Directors of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. 1. Ahmed Lawan Kulu, Managing Director. 2. Ibere Chukwu Uneze, Executive Director. 3. Aminu Ismail, Executive Director. I so move, Mr. President.
Seconder. Senator Yakubu Oseni.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to second the motion moved by the Chairman Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions to receive the confirmation for the appointment of Managing Directors and Executive Directors of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate receives and considers the report of our Committee on Banking, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you may lay the report. Chairman, you can present your report now. Chairman, I would suggest that you give us an abridged version of this presentation, please. All right, thank you.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator Obasani, representing Kaduna Central. The Senate at its sitting on Thursday, 10 December 2020, considered the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation, Muhammadu Buhari, JSFR, for the confirmation of appointments of Mr. Ahmed Lawan Kuru, Mr. Ibero Chukwu Puneze, and Mr. Aminu Ismail as Managing Director and Executive Directors of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. I refer him to the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions for further legislative action. Findings. At the end of the screening exercise of the nominees, the committee findings were as follows. One, that their appointments are in accordance with the provision of Section 10(3)(a) and B of Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON Act 2010 as amended. Two, that their nomination is for a second and final tenure of 5 years as enshrined in the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON Act 2010 as amended. Three, that the nominees have performed remarkably during their stewardship as Managing Director and Executive Directors of AMCON in their first tenure. Four, that the nominees possesses the requisite knowledge, experience, and expertise to lead AMCON at this critical moment of global economic challenge so as to effectively ensure the optimal recovery of government assets from chronic obligors across the country. Five, that the committee do not receive any petitions against their nomination for appointments as Managing Director and Executive Directors of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. Six, that the nominees have been cleared by the Nigerian Police Force, Department of State Services, and possesses the Code of Conduct Acknowledgement slips. Recommendations. The Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions, having screened the nominees and being satisfied with their experiences, performances, and academic qualifications, hereby recommends as follows. One, that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Ahmed Lawan Kuru as Managing Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. Two, that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Ibero Chukwu Puneze as an Executive Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. Three, that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Aminu Ismail as an Executive Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. Conclusion. The committee wishes to sincerely express its appreciation to the Senate for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. I so move, Mr. President.
Any comments? Okay, try to be very brief so that we go to Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, Niger North. Mr. President, mine is just a very brief one because these nominees were actually coming for the second tenure. And I want to note with great satisfaction paragraph 6, where their performance was given in terms of what they have done over the past 4 years. I thought I should highlight this and perhaps say that anytime we are having nominees that are coming for reconsideration, it should become very important that we ask for performance evaluation, just like it was done here. I thought I should make that point.
Yeah, thank you very much. Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole, please.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate do resolve in the Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Minority Leader.
President, I second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report of our committee on banking, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we are going to do approval. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Ahmed Lawan Kuru as Managing Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON? Those in favor will say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Ebere Chukwu F. Uneze as Executive Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON? Those in favor will say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Aminu Ismail as Executive Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON? Those in favor will say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I request that you report progress.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do revert to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions on the screening of Mr. President's nominees for appointment as Managing Director and Executive Directors of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, and approved the nominations of Ahmed Lawan Kuru as Managing Director, Ebere Chukwu F. Uneze as Executive Director, and Aminu Ismail as Executive Director. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Confirmation. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Ahmed Lawan Kuru as Managing Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON? Those in favor will say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Ahmed Lawan Kuru is hereby confirmed as Managing Director of the Asset Management Corporation, AMCON. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Ebere Chukwu F. Uneze as Executive Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON? Those in favor will say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Ebere F. Uneze is hereby confirmed as Executive Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Aminu Ismail as Executive Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Aminu Ismail is hereby confirmed as Executive Director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria. Well, congratulations to all of them, and they perform well in the first tenure. We hope that they can do even better. We wish them the best of luck. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The sixth order of the day is the presentation and consultation of the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions on the confirmation of the nominations of the following persons as listed in the order paper for appointment as Managing Director and Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. Distinguished senators will recall that the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, was referred to the committee on Thursday, 10 December 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Ubasani, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Senator Obasani.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, Ubasani representing Kaduna Central, I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions on the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as Managing Director and Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. 1. Bello Hassan, Managing Director. 2. Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim, Executive Director. I so move, Mr. President.
I need a second. Senator Uche Ekunefe Yom.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Netuche Lilian Ekunefe Yom. I represent Anambra Central and from Anambra State. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and considers the report of our Committee on Banking, Insurance and other financial institutions, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you may lead the report. You may present the report now.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator Obasani representing Kaduna Central. Mr. President, the Senate at its sitting on Thursday, 10 December 2020, considered the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation, Muhammadu Buhari, DCFR, for the confirmation of appointments of Mr. Bello Hassan and Mr. Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim as Managing Director and Executive Director of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. I refer them to the Committee on Banking, Insurance and other financial institutions for further legislative action. Findings. At the end of the screening exercise of the nominees, the committee's findings were as follows. 1, that the office of the Managing Director and the Executive Director Operations of the corporation remains vacant following the end of the tenure of the previous occupants. 2, that the appointments are in accordance with the provision of Section 5(4) and 8(3) of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation Act 2010. 3, that the nominees possesses the technical knowledge and professional experiences to be Managing Director and Executive Director of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. 4, that the committee do not receive any petition against their nomination for the appointments as Managing Director and Executive Director of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation. 5, that the nominees have been cleared by the Nigeria Police Force, Department of State Services, DSS, and possesses the Code of Conduct acknowledgement slips. Recommendations. The Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions, having screened the nominees and been satisfied with their experiences, performances, and academic qualifications, hereby recommends as follows. 1, that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Bello Hassan as Managing Director of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. 2, that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim as Executive Director of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation. Conclusion. The committee wishes to sincerely express its appreciation to the Senate for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. I so move, Mr. President.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Approval. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Bello Hassan as Managing Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim as Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate reverts to plenary session for consideration of the report.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse to plenary for the charge to report progress, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions on the screening of Mr. President's nominees for appointment as Managing Director and Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, and approved nominations of Bello Hassan as Managing Director, Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim as Executive Director. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Confirmation. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Bello Hassan as Managing Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Bello Hassan is hereby confirmed as Managing Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim as Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim is hereby confirmed as Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. Congratulations to both of them. We wish them well. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The seventh order of the day is a motion standing in my name and 106 others on the general insecurity in Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite me to move the motion.
You may go ahead.
Mr. President, the Senate notes with deep concern the general state of insecurity in Nigeria. Notes with sadness reports of killing and kidnappings in Ondo State, Edo State, Oyo State, Imo State, Kaduna State, Zamfara State, Niger State, Nasarawa State, Kebbi State, and in other parts of the country. Senate is aware of reports of kidnappings and killings in the Ibadan and other parts of Oyo State, consequent upon which eviction notice was given to Fulani herdsmen on 16 January 2021, sequence of which houses and cars belonging to the Fulani herdsmen were burned in the Gaga, the Badakwa North local government of Oyo State. Aware also that in January 2021, gunmen invaded Kaduna communities, killed the traditional head of Baranje village, Dugara, Yahaya, and another resident in Baranje village near Buruku in Chumkun local government area of the state. Similarly, armed bandits killed one person after failed attempt to kidnap him at Ungwan Sada in Giwa local government area. A herder was also killed by armed bandits along Kingimi Agris on the Kaduna Jos Road in Igabi local government area. Senate further sober aware that on Friday, 29 January 2021, gunmen clad in military uniform intercepted some vehicles at Idom village in Kajuru local government area on Kaduna Kashia Road in Kaduna State, abducting no fewer than 19 travelers and taking them into the forest, just like the dangerous Kaduna-Kashina Road. There are still reports of kidnappings on the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. Senate notes that in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, on Sunday, 24th of January 2021, armed men attacked Rachel Orphanage in Niharati. Alagi Area Council kidnapped 7 children of the age ranged 10 to 13 years and also kidnapped a staff member of the orphanage. Like this abduction, there are also pockets of reports of abduction in Abuja. Senate notes also that in Ondo State, kidnappers often operate freely on Akure Owo Road, or Atumba, Akure Elisha Expressway, Ise, Akoko Ishua, Akoko Road, and other parts of the state. Recently, government killed a first-class traditional ruler, the Olufon of Shifon, Oba Israel Adeus. Senate notes further that mass killings and banditry in Kebbi State, either to localize in 4 local government areas in Zulu Emirate, have extended to Shanga, the Yawuri Emirate, and Koko, Bese, Bagudo, and Meyama local government area of Gwandu Emirate. Senate notes again that in Nasarawa State, on Monday, 4th January 2021, government killed the former Education Secretary of Nasarawa local government area of the state, Malami Salihu, and kidnapped 20 people along Mungi Sharp Corner, Boga Kwari, Gadabuke area of Toto local government area. Further aware that Ogun State on Monday, 1st of February 2021, suspected hoodlums set ablaze the house of Serikin Fulani in Egua, Yewa North local government area, killing 1 person and scores of cows. Senate notes that in Delta State, In January 21, government killed 3 mobile policemen, carted away 8 AK-47 rifles, and 120 rounds of ammunition in Ugeli North local government area of the state. Note also that in Niger State, between 6 December and 12 December 2020, government invaded and launched multiple attacks in Ogu and Tegina communities in Rafi local government area. 19 persons were kidnapped, and the pastor with the evangelical church Muni or Ekwa, Jeremiah Ibrahim, was killed in Chukuba, Shiroro local government area of the state. Senate further notes that in Zamfara state, killings and kidnappings have continued unabated. On Friday, 6th of January 2021, armed kidnappers invaded Kauri village in Maru local government area and kidnapped 6 children from the family. Senate is aware that in Imo State, unrest ensued on 25th of January 2023 at Olu when armed members of Eastern Security Network, ESN, clashed with security agents. This led to many killings and burning of properties. Senate is aware also that in Abia State, a few days ago, armed members of the Eastern Security Network, ESN, invaded the camp of the Fulani herdsmen in Isiakwato, chasing them away and killing dozens of cows. Senate is aware that in Edo State, kidnappers often operate freely on Benin-Auchi Road as well as Benin bypass, with the recent kidnapping of Chief Dennis Abuda, a U.S.-based Nigerian who was returning to the U.S. after the U-child on the 31st January 2021 and was killed afterwards after a ransom had been collected from his family. Concerned that security challenges have led to issuance of issuance of eviction notice by some ethnic entrepreneurs and groups posing as ethnic nationalists and champions. Senate further observes that even though many perpetrators of killings, kidnappings, and banditry in Nigeria are illegal immigrants, they are harbored and nourished by Nigerian informants, collaborators, and armed suppliers. Senate is concerned that many Nigerians have injected ethnic sentiments into insecurity issues, and this is capable of plunging the nation into ethnic religious crisis of ominous proportions. Senate is further concerned that if the present state of insecurity across the nation is not curtailed, it will lead to food insecurity, famine, and many farmers can no longer access their farmlands. Senate observes that the nation is entering a very dangerous phase of its governance trajectory, characterized by manufactured conflicts, fueled by ethnic and religious entrepreneurs with divisive rhetorics, and amplified by irresponsible social media activists and platforms. Senate notes that it is the responsibility of leaders at all levels to address the security challenges of Nigeria. The local actors and authorities should not absolve themselves of responsibility. Furthermore, Senate notes that President Muhammad Buhari has nominated new service chiefs for Senate consultation and hopes the new service chiefs will rejig and reinvigorate the security architecture for optimal efficiency and maximum effectiveness. Senate condemns extrajudicial killings, banditry, robbery, kidnapping, and other forms of violent behavior in Nigeria, and maintains that Section 43 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, is sacrosanct, as every citizen of Nigeria has the right to live and acquire properties in any part of the country. Accordingly, resolve 1, urge the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, to direct the National Security Advisor and the newly nominated service chief and the Inspector General of Police to devise a proposal to rejig the nation's security architecture and disposition of forces to move effective countermeasures against the current security challenges, particularly in the rural areas. 2, urge the state governors to reinvigorate rural governance and convene statewide intercommunal conclaves and dialogue to promote local conflict resolution and inter-ethnic harmony. 3, urge the federal government to immediately embark on an operation to checkmate proliferation of firearms and enforce the laws against illegal possession of firearms by arresting, disarming, and punishing anyone in illegal possession of arms. 4, all the state governors to implement the National Livestock Transformation Plan, which is a modern scheme designed to eliminate transhumance in order to prevent farmer-herder conflicts and activate highly productive livestock sector in Nigeria. 5, urge the security agencies to actively deploy drones and helicopters to monitor forests and ungoverned areas in Nigeria to identify illegal camps of armed bandits. 6, urge the federal government to adequately equip the Nigerian Immigration Services, NIS, and the Nigerian Customs Services, NCS, to police and monitor our borders using modern technology to check illegal immigrants and checkmate smuggling of firearms and light weapons. Finally, urge the federal government to resuscitate and inaugurate the National Task Force or Commission to combat the proliferation of light weapons, small arms, and ammunition. Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. We are all.
Distinguished colleagues, before we start this debate, please can we fix a time limit for every contributor? And we try to keep to the time so that we leave this place in good time. How many minutes per person? I think 2 minutes is too tight, maybe 3. Yeah? Can we take 3? Okay, 3. The Deputy Chief Whip, you will keep the time, please. The Chief Whip is not in. So 3 minutes per contribution, and I hope that we don't have to call someone to stop. We make our contributions within the 3 minutes. And I have a long list here of distinguished senators who have indicated their interest to talk. So maybe you don't have to be raising your hand, except one person. Distinguished Senator Taslim Folari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Taslim Folari, Oyo Central. Mr. President, here we go again, debating the security situation in the country. Kidnapping, murder, armed robbery appears to be the order of the day across the country. Mr. President, I want to suggest strongly that there appears to be a nexus between the economic downturn in this country and the security situation. Mr. President, educational sector has...
Please, you don't have to be raising your hands. I've all written the names to raise. Senator Kola, you don't have to be raising your hand. I wrote your name since, but you have been raising. Everybody, it was only one person. So, you have only 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. All I'm trying to do is to bring in a new dimension, trying to link the economic downturn in this country with the security situation. I just made the point that the educational sector has collapsed. There's a lot of graduates that have no jobs. Our system, the system we operate, does not encourage risk-taking as is necessary to start and develop a business. So the point I'm trying to make, Mr. President, is that if we don't improve on this, then we will be wasting our time. Mr. President, we also have issues of power generation in the country. So if you want to start a business and you rely on generators, what it means is it would add up to your cost of business. So basically, there's nothing happening. Nothing is functioning. Yeah, we're talking security, but I'm trying to make it, I'm not building up a case. I'm trying to link the economic downturn to the security situation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Sumata Demi.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, Sadauna, Yobi, and Kogi. Sadauna, Yobi, and Kogi. Mr. President, I rise to pass one of your remarks on the serious threats to the stability of our nation, talking about the insecurity, the killings across our country. Security, Mr. President, is everybody's business, and it must be everybody's business. It must be an issue that is beyond any sentiment. Today, Mr. President, I'm sure millions of Nigerians can no longer sleep with their two eyes closed. The question will be, are we effective in policing, in ensuring the safety of life and properties? Today, Mr. President, there is threat to our unity and our oneness as a nation, emanating from the killings which quite a number of people interpret and reminisce to from different angles. To me, Mr. President, most of those who are involved in the killings and the instability of our nation are not Nigerians. Majority of them are people of maybe similar sentiments with some nationalities in Nigeria, but they are not Nigerians. And I think we must get the message clear. I said this the other time here, that I am not in doubt there's international conspiracy against our nation. You recall there was a time we had a joint team to fight insecurity, and some French-speaking nations pulled out of that agreement. They pulled out because their paymasters didn't want it to hold. So, Mr. President, each time we talk about insecurity of our nation, we must look at it beyond our nation itself. We have conspiracy against our nation. The summary of what I want to say is this. Let the President get it clear that it's not out of weakness if Nigeria can no longer police the nation. If the insurgency is getting out of hand, it is not out of place for the President to ask for foreign support. We should not wait until when United Nations will start taking over our security for us. Our nation must be courageous enough to come out to say, if we can no longer maintain peace and stability, if our nation is being threatened, and these are people that you can see they are not foreigners. Most of the people who are killing, they do not understand English language. So I hold the view that we must rise to the occasion. We must be courageous as a nation to say there is need for international support for our nation. The problem confronting us today, Mr. President, is beyond the COVID. Now they are talking about 500 billion for COVID vaccine. I'm not saying there's no COVID, but Nigeria do not need 500 billion to be spent on COVID. We need 500 billion to be spent on security. We need to police our nation. We need to expand and import more sophisticated weapons. I hold the view, Mr. President.
You round up, please.
But we must.
You should round up, please.
Submit.
Senator Suleiman Abdukari.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Suleiman Abdukwari, I represent Kaduna North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the issue of security in this chamber has been discussed over and over on the floor of this chamber. And it is in our best interest to get more focus on the solution instead of talking over what the remote and immediate causes have been. It is unfortunate that this country has sunk to a level that it's being seen almost as a failed nation. And we are actually living 6 years outside what the prediction was, that Nigeria was going to collapse in 2015. So the issue of conspiracy theory that has been propounded by my immediate past speaker is there, and we should look all out for what the causes have been. And now that a new security outfit is in place in terms of the leadership, I think the Chief of Defense Staff and the other military chiefs have their jobs cut out for them. Amongst issues that they should actually be prepared to do is that of addressing the morale of their troops. Troop morale should be improved upon. And thereafter, we should also coordinate the security intelligence that has been failing the security outfits. And once this is done, there is proper coordination and good execution of whatever the security people try to achieve. I think it would be a way out, and it will go a long way in solving some of the security problems. I thank you, distinguished colleagues, and I rest my case, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished colleague. Deputy Chief Whip, who will keep the time? Deputy Leader, keep the time.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Niger North Senatorial District. Mr. President, indeed, we have discussed security in this hallowed chamber times without number, and we'll continue to discuss security until we are able to secure our nation. Mr. President, let me say that in Niger State, I'm representing Niger North. And of course, Niger State has now joined that infamous league of states that are being daily bombarded by bandits. In my own case, two local governments, for example, stand out. Mashegu and Mariga local government. In the last 2 months, there has been nothing less than 6 attacks in which a number of our citizens were killed. 1st December, for example, there was attack in Daja village in Mashegu local government. 4th December, there was attacked and kidnapped in the same local government, and then Mariga local government. So the point I want to say here is that we are definitely facing the heat. But I think in looking at the issue of the insecurity, earlier on somebody was trying to link it up to economic circumstance. And I think we need to understand that within the context of another dimension of our insecurity, which is the farmers-herders conflict, the issue of climate change cannot be taken away. And if you look at it, it has to do with resource allocation. Now, the point is, there is one fundamental thing we should ask. Why are our herders even in movement? They are looking for water, they are looking for feed, they are looking for veterinary service, and they are looking for market. If we can fix all of these things, and it is possible that we should fix this, because we had the second livestock development plan, where attempt was made for livestock owners, irrespective of where they are located, to have areas where they can have access to their forage. This was abandoned. And today we are having this challenge of free roaming people and creating problems all over the place. So I think we need to come back to deal with the basics and ensure that in terms of resource allocation, we are able to allow everybody to have access.
You need to round up. Thank you, Senator Abdullah.
And I represent Nasarawa West. Very distinguished colleagues. I see this motion before us as extremely important and strategic if we are to continue with our efforts, genuine efforts, at finding peace between and amongst ourselves. Mr. President, I'm afraid we are mixing issues. And we're in the course of this mix-up, we are burying different dimensions of the security challenges that we face as a country. For me, the custodians of peace, the custodians, are those of us who are privileged to enjoy positions of leadership in this country. From Mr. President, down to the state governors, down to chairman of the government, and those of us who are elected, we have a duty to make our own contributions towards the understanding, mutuality of interest, mutuality of cohabitations in our country. We owe a duty as political leaders in our various communities. Mr. President, I find it difficult to believe in the 21st century that a governor of a state who has taken oath to protect, preserve and protect the Constitution of Nigeria, which embodies fundamental human rights, fundamental rights of residents, will come openly to ask people who are not indigenous of his state to leave his state on the pretext of something that they are doing. And their cost of law. We have cost of law to make determination on that. The only person I want to have an exemption, while we see in the social media houses of people being burnt who are not from the states where the burning is taking place, the only exception I hold, and I want to so do with commendation, is the governor of Edo State. He came out to say he will protect anybody, any Nigerian who is making a living in his state, and anybody who commits offense, the court of law take care of it. I believe very strongly that we will make better sense if we go into some committee or some stage, Mr. President, to find out exactly the truth or otherwise of these allegations of killings, arson, burning of properties of people in states other than their own. I so submit.
Senator Sahabiao.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I would want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this insecurity. Mr. President, if not because of the misunderstanding some people have about the extra action being put by my state government to at least secure relative peace in our state, I will have decided not to speak on this issue because I am sure not much is going to be said over and above what has been said in this chamber, followed by resolutions upon resolutions, and yet we are yet to get to anywhere. Mr. President, my governor only tried to be responsible and alive to his duties as law enforcement agent of the state. All he was trying to do was to provide at least to protect the lives and properties of his indigents. That's why he introduced the project of amnesty. I know we are not the first set of people to have done amnesty in this country. It was tried in the South, and Adwa achieved some success out of it. We now have engineers, qualified medical doctors, all out of amnesty. So what the governor was doing was that if he could not totally secure the lives and properties of the state by security agencies, let him adopt or let him have a fallback agenda, that is to invite those people that are willing to sit down with him among the security agencies and discuss how to surrender their arms and at least secure a relative peace in the state. So please, I beg for the understanding of our citizens that what he is doing is never a criminal. All he is trying to do is to perform one of his functions as the state governor, that is to protect lives and property. I pray we will come to an end to this problem, and I believe with extra efforts, because there must be extra efforts, which the presidency has started putting in, by changing the service chiefs who have been crying on. And I believe by the time they come in, they should know that they have responsibilities over their heads, and we pray they should be able to succeed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Biodun Olujimi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Biodun Olujimi. I represent Ekiti South. Mr. President, I will not go into niceties. I will just take it as I have seen it. I believe we won't reduce this issue of insecurity to individuals because it's a national issue. Mr. President, we're all in denial, especially government. And if we were not in denial, we would have declared insecurity a national emergency, the way we declared COVID a national emergency. Because if we had done that, we would have had multi-sectoral approach to tackling this insecurity. Right now, we are an endangered species. People are going into homes to abduct, to rape, to do all sorts. Herdsmen are everywhere. We have spoken severally and nothing has been done. Mr. President, posterity beckons because posterity will not forgive us. We are part of the system. We must do something drastic. We must declare insecurity a national emergency so that everybody starts to work on it as we're working on COVID. The figures that are coming out of insecurity are higher than the figures that are coming out of COVID. The deaths are more. So why are we just pretending this thing is not there? Like I said before, posterity will not forgive us if we don't do the right thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Senator Binos Yarododa.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Binos Yaro, representing Adamawa South. I want to start by commending the Deputy Leader of the Senate and indeed the leadership of the Senate for allowing this debate to take place today. I would like to start by saying that perhaps the title or the caption of this motion should have been, instead of general insecurity in Nigeria, should be the menace of Fulani herdsmen in Nigeria. I say so because not quite too long ago, the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence, was reported to have said that out of every 10 kidnappers arrested, 7 or 8 are Fulani. In fact, in my own local government, in the recent past, almost all the kidnappers, the highway robbers that have been arrested were all Fulanis. So, Mr. President, we must face this fact. Why is that so? It is because
the Fulanis are being encouraged or are being allowed free rein in this country to do whatever they like. I will just tell you one short story. 3 weeks ago, I was informed that some Fulani people were having a conversation. One man is a cattle Fulani or a Fulani herdsman. The other two people are town Fulani or Fulani elites. The Fulani elites accused the cattle Fulani of causing insecurity in the country, or especially in our local government, because they had abducted, they have kidnapped a district head, they have kidnapped a prominent community leader. And the cattle Fulanis replied them, he said, we have not read, we are not learned, we don't know anything. The only thing we know is our cows and grazing our cows in the bush. It is you, learned Fulani people, that buy guns and give us and send us on missions. So, Mr. President, we must face this fact that these people are being supported in high places. It must stop. Thank you very much.
Distinguished colleagues, let me at this stage make this comment. I will advise that we don't stick this kind of insecurity to an ethnic group. Most of us know that people will say some of these people are not from Nigeria. Many people assert that we get people from outside the country. So I will advise that we stick to these criminal elements without calling Fulani, 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 because Fulani is an ethnic group. They are not also spared. Many Fulanis are killed. So we need everybody on board in the fight to win against criminality. So I just want to guide us this way. Distinguished Senator Chimaroke Nnamani.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Senate President. My name is Chimaroke Nnamani, and I represent Enugu East Senatorial Zone. I rather believe that when you're talking about national security, you're talking about signs and symptom complex of an ailing nation, of a sick Nigeria. I would therefore prefer to address it in a holistic manner, looking at 6 thematic areas. 1 is poverty, 2 is national transformation, 3 is youth bulge and expanding youth population, 4 is critical infrastructure, 5 is gap crisis, and 6 is a failed expectation framework. If you look at poverty in Nigeria, Nigeria has the highest population of extreme poverty in the world, which is about maybe 86.9 to 92 million people living in absolute poverty. So when you're talking about national security, it's part of that symptom complex. You also look at population dynamics. Nigerian population will be 236 million in 2030 and 410 million in 2050, making it the 3rd most populous nation in this country, in the world. As the population expands, the population of youths expand, and these are unemployed youths. It's also youth restiveness, hopelessness, vulnerability, makes them subject to indoctrination, and that is how you have the problems in the Northeast, even in the South side. And of course, lack of critical infrastructure. We have to address critical infrastructure in terms of transportation, roads, railways, airways, waterways, in terms of electricity. Then, of course, gap crisis, the huge void between the rich and the poor. And of course, failed expectations. The state has not fulfilled its social contract, and that is a reaction to that failed expectation of our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, ordinarily I didn't want to say anything until I heard certain things on this floor, and I felt that we needed to clear that. I'm an Igbo man, and our people say that when the traditional healer is making medicine for the eye, that he shouldn't find pepper nearby. Because any pepper that goes into the eye means that that medicine will not work. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to talk specifically on the matter of whether people were being sent away. No Nigerian is being sent away from anywhere. Criminals are being sent away from the forest where they are. And so, when we now come here and say, some people, after doing this thing and they're sending people away, you send the wrong message out. The message is simple. The police, IG, has told us these are criminal elements coming from outside Nigeria. And what we should ask ourselves is, if somebody is a criminal and he is in the forest, what is he doing inside there? And we want to paper over matters of this nature to please whatever. What we want to say is simple. We either want to solve this problem, and in order to solve the problem, the desideratum is that all criminal elements that are coming into this country from wherever they are must be flushed out. Simply sit up.
Senator Ode Adi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Ode Stephen Adi. I represent the good people of Cross River North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is in a very bad situation. Nobody should take this issue for granted. People can no longer move freely in this country. Even the political elites are culpable. Nobody is exempted. Security has become a terrible issue that you can no longer travel from one part of this country to the other without thinking of how to protect yourself. How about the women and children that we send to our schools? They don't have any opportunity to provide security for themselves. Yet, on daily basis, we hear reports from our national dailies, from the television, how people are being kidnapped, how young ones are being kidnapped, and then people ask them for ransom. Parents don't have money to pay for them to be released. It's a serious matter that this country, at the leadership level, we must continue to carry out orientation and then see how we can fashion out, conduct research, and see how we can bring very useful findings to those at the corridor of power. Governors have a role to play in each of their states. For instance, Cross River State was bedeviled with a lot of security challenges some few months back. But when the governor introduced Operation Akpaku, a lot of criminals have started running away from Cross River State. And I believe that if other governors should adopt this template, I think Nigeria will move a step forward. Thank you, Mr. President. I submit.
Senator Michael Opeyemi-Bamidele.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Michael Opeyemi-Bamidele. I represent the Ekiti Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I am particularly happy with the title of this motion as drafted, General Insecurity in Nigeria. In other words,
is no longer about the Fulanis or the Igbos. It's no longer about the Yorubas or the Kanuris. It's no longer about Northeast or Southwest. It is about Nigeria. And my call to all our colleagues is that that patriot that lives in every one of us, this is the time to allow him or her to lead us in our utterances, in our decisions. Mr. President, as lawmakers, let's remind ourselves and let's go out of this chamber to tell every Nigerian that Section 43 of our Constitution, which grants the right to every Nigerian to live and acquire property in any part of the country, is a section that confers a right as to where you can live and own property. This is different from ownership of land or property. Ownership of land is thoroughly and decisively addressed in the Land Use Act of Nigeria. And it provides for only 3 means of ownership of land in this country, either by government, federal, state, or local, or individual ownership, or corporate ownership. In other words, even though I have a right to live and acquire property in any part of Nigeria, I do not have a right to trespass on the land owned by any other person in this country. I'm particularly happy about Prayer 4 here, talking on the need to end herdsmen and farmers conflict. This borders on these relevant constitutional provisions. Mr. President, it is not the right of anyone, and as a government we must continue to emphasize this, it's not the right of anyone to trespass on the land that belongs to any other person in this country. And that having been said, sir, I want to emphasize that if we are going to adopt a holistic approach to fighting this war, and we are determined to bring it to an end, as we are fighting in Sambisa Forest, as we are fighting in Yobe, as we are fighting in every other part of the country where this war is raging, we must also take this war to every other part of Nigeria. The governor of Enugu, the governor of Oyo, every one of them must be in a position to take charge of their own local communities. In other words, criminals, I don't care which tribe they come from, whether from outside Nigeria, criminals must be arrested. The police must be awakened in every state. The judiciary must be awakened in every state. Everyone that is caught violating or trespassing on someone else's property must be arrested, promptly prosecuted.
You should round up now. Yeah.
And then we can make progress. Let no one be afraid of being called a tribalist. This is the time for everybody to speak out in the interest of Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Muhammad Adam Bulkacho.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Adamu Muhammad Bulkachua from my constituency is Bauchi North Senatorial District. Mr. President, I will agree with you when you said no tribe should be mentioned. That is very correct and true. I will also agree with the minority leader when he says the issue is national. That is also true. Now, what I'm going to say is that the herders that trespass this country, not all of them are Nigerians. That is absolutely true. My constituency is not on the border, but near the border, just neighboring Yobe State. And every year, herders either driving camels
or cows or goats and sheep come across immediately after harvest, and they sack the farmers, they take away their harvest, and if they resist, they kill them. This has been going on for more than 20 years, and I have been raising that issue in my local community, in the Emirate Council, and we have written to the immigration to stop them from coming in, and the customs, but nothing had happened. Now they are spread all over Nigeria. And I can tell you, sir, that I have seen a video where so-called Fulanis, I'm sorry to mention that, herders, were occupying a place somewhere, I think either in Oyo or Ogun or somewhere. And the video was indicating where these people grouped in one place, and the language they speak was French, because I understand French a little bit. So what we are supposed to do in this chamber is to find solution, not to narrate stories of sorrows. So please, let us address ourselves to the solution. The people are already here, and they are spread all over Nigeria. So let's find a solution, either how to get rid of them or how to arrest all of them, because they are criminals. They have no tribe. Crime has no tribe. There are only two tribes in the whole world, good people and bad people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Before I call on Senator Adiola Salamolo, let me say that my senatorial district is neighboring his own, and these people pass through my place before they reach yours, and I will correct the 20 years you have said. Probably 100 years, because I saw that process going on. Senator Adiola Solomon Olamilekan.
Thank you, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, let me start by saying that in these hallowed chambers, we have discussed the issue of security matters more than 10 to 20 times in these chambers. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, we are at it again. And as somebody has said, concerning the headline given to this motion, the general security situation in this country. Mr. President, I want to make a special plea that please, the screening of the new service chief should be done at plenary. They should come and speak to Nigerians what their intentions are. What are they going to do? It's not going to be business as usual. We need to hear from them. It's not at the committee level or so. They should come and speak to us here. And again, let me commend the president. It's better late than never. At least for heeding to the clarion call to change the service chiefs. So this time around, there is need for the service chiefs to address us and address Nigeria as to going forward, what will be the situation. Mr. President, I am not here to narrate stories. We are fully aware that there are kidnapping, there are killings, and there are clashes between the herdsmen and farmers across the country. But Mr. President, there was at a point in time in these chambers, the Inspector General of Police was here, and he spoke to us about community policing. The question is, what is happening to that community policing that we all agreed and also voted billions of naira to commence? Is it that there is no more community policing? Because one of those reasons why we suggested this particular security outfit is to assist in every locality to know who and who that lives in that particular locality. So if it is no longer working, I think the IGO role has an explanation to tell us what is happening. Mr. President, you will quite agree with me. I agree with you that those attacking us as a country are not Nigerians. We have lived together for several years and there have not been issues like this. Definitely, there might be people from other tribes, maybe from Niger Republic and Chad.
But I want to say this, Mr. President. There is need for us to even look at this country from another dimension. It is one of the plans of our great party to look into possibility of restructuring this country. And we have set up a committee that have worked on restructuring. And I believe the committee has submitted their report. This is one angle in which we should start looking at. And because inside this restructuring, there is security issue that has been discussed extensively, which borders on the state police. And I believe at this point in time, the creation and the establishment of state police, we should start looking in this direction. If truly we want to put an end to this security situation that has been affecting us as a country. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, I also plead that for those that have lost their life on all these security incidents across the nation, that we observe 1 minute silence for all these souls that have been killed one way or the other, either by banditry or by attack by farmers and herdsmen. They deserve a 1 minute silence because they are Nigerians like us. And I want to say, Mr. President, that going forward, there is need for us to put sentiment aside and at least call on the president to address the country on the security situation that has been facing us. Even to pay condolence messages to those families that have been affected, it should not be out of place. I so submit, Mr. President.
Senator Francis Alimekana.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Francis Alimekana, representing the good people of Edo North. Mr. President, the activities of these banditry, kidnappers, and herdsmen is worrisome. The sanity of Nigeria life is no more with them again. Nigeria cannot sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Now, last time in Edo State, Mr. President, one Mr. Dennis Abuda, who came from America to have a holiday in Nigeria with his family in Fuga, was killed when he was going back to America. The implication of this is that most Nigerians from America will not even come home. The family or the children of this Abuda will not come home because of the banditry. Mr. President, the federal government should come to the aid of Nigeria quickly and fastly. The police, the state police should take off. Because if we have a state police to augment the Nigeria police, inside the bush, killing.
Mr. President, in accordance with order.
Point of order, leader.
In accordance with order 13 in our book, I move that the vote will extend extension beyond the 2 o'clock.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, you recall what one of those things I mentioned in the morning, that we should not be overstaying here, but maybe we ate a lot of our time in the closed session. So we may do some surgery for today, probably today only, just to accommodate about 20 more senators to speak. So I will appeal again that please let's stay within 3 minutes. Those in favor of the motion that the Senate suspends is order 13 so that we sit beyond 2 p.m. say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Senator Francis Alimekana, you have 1 more minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I call on the federal government to take this security situation seriously and to come to the aid of Nigeria. The police, the state police should take up now so that it will augment the activities of Nigeria police. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Tolu Odibi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Tolu Odebi. I represent the people of Ogun West. Mr. President, let me first of all commend the Deputy Senate Leader for bringing this motion up at this time. Mr. President, like my colleagues have said, we have a national crisis on our hands. And it's a national crisis that has been devoid of leadership, both politically and morally. And we must say it the way it is. We must say it the way it is. Mr. President, let me give you a little statistics. Between 2017 and May 2020, there have been 654 attacks, 2,539 killed, 393 wounded, 253 kidnapped, 16 raped, 7,582 homes destroyed. That is an analysis that has been done by a research firm that is based in Brussels on what has happened in this country. And I listen to us here. For us to be saying that they're not Nigerians, it's an indictment on our leadership. That people are coming into this country, they're maiming our people, they're killing our people, they're raping our people, and we are saying they're not Nigerians. And yet these are the same security people that we are now going to promote to be ambassadors of this country, representing this country. It's an indictment, and it's not acceptable. I represent a border community that's bordering some neighboring towns, neighboring countries. I went there over the weekend. The whole place has been destroyed by all these herdsmen. People's earnings, people's lives has been destroyed. People that are taking all these cattle away, they are doing it as a business. And these people, their own lives are being destroyed because somebody else's business, they say they are trying to feed their cows. It is upsetting. And we must rise up to this occasion. This country is at the precipice of a civil war or even falling apart, or of a failed state. So, Mr. President, I rise that the president needs to speak and calm the nation and talk to the nation. I mean, Mr. President, here we are just looking at what has just recently happened in America now. In 1 month, the president has passed over 30 executive orders. The president can pass an executive order banning open grazing, banning the criminality of carrying ammunition, guns and AK-47 where you are going. Enumerate all these herdsmen. There are actions that they can take immediately, but nothing is being done. I so rest my case.
Senator Kola Balogun.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kola Balogun, Oyo South. Mr. President, Nigerians are worried. The parliamentarians are worried, going by what we have been listening to here today. Why shouldn't we be worried? We've lost so many lives to Boko Haram crisis in Northeast. We've lost so many lives to banditry in Northwest. And as if that is not enough problem on our hands, we're now contending on a daily basis with this crisis, whether you call it Fulani herdsmen, Yoruba herdsmen, Igbo herdsmen. We know that these people are herdsmen who are trying to rear their cattle on people's farmland. Mr. President, in Igogon, Oyo South, where we have this latest crisis, we lost Dr. Fatai Aborode, a PhD holder. He had 300 acres of farmland. He hired 50 men and women working on the farmland. His farmland was invaded. But for having the audacity to approach, to meet with the Seriki Fulani, to complain, the next day he was ambushed and was brutally murdered. We have Alaja Sherifat Adisa, CEO of Shupara Filling Station. They were trying to kidnap her. She resisted, took her across the street, and she was killed. Odeyemi Jide was kidnapped in front of his house at Gaga. Had to pay millions of ransom to regain his freedom. Jamiu Taiwo was raped and killed. Same herdsmen. Muiba Taiwo, a 50-year-old woman, had her 2 hands chopped off for doing nothing. Mr. President, we have serious problem on our hands. And let me just quickly underscore this problem by taking just one paragraph, reading out one paragraph from a moving tribute written by Dr. Fatai Aborode's son, who is abroad. And it's titled, Nigeria Could Not Keep You Safe.
Now, the distinguished, please round up.
I told you I've lost every hope in Nigeria and how I don't see it becoming better in another 50 to 100 years. I told you I don't see Nigeria at home anymore, And I said, where you're safe is your home. You went on to tell me to be optimistic about Nigeria. You mentioned that you benefited from Nigeria in the past. The free and quality education you got in your formative years is one of those reasons that you made yourself indebted to the country. You felt you needed to go back to the country what Nigeria has given to you. You have this glowing utopia image of Nigeria in your mind. Well, Dad, you are wrong. I wish death was like prison, where you get visitation at least once a month. So I can tell you just how wrong you are. Nigeria is now home. Nigeria couldn't keep you safe. Nigeria cut your life short. Nigeria ruined your dreams. Mr. President, Nigerian people's verdict.
I think you have to round up now with that tribute. All right. No, you round up, please.
Do the need and keep our borders safe. Let us have state police and community policing. That would not do anything. That's one of the best ways to go because all crimes are local. We all know that. So when we talk about having state police, some people disagree. Let's have state police.
Thank you. Senator Edi Gyan.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Senator Edi Gyan from Plateau North. Mr. President, I'm adding my voice to this discourse on the general insecurity of this nation, and as a co-sponsor of this motion, I want to highlight what the Constitution has provided as a way of not only managing our diversity, but also that will help us to address the externalization of the criminal component of the current insecurity in the country. Section 15 of the Constitution 3 guarantees residency rights for all citizens in locations of their choice. For citizens, it guarantees that right is for citizens, not for aliens. Section 43 has this right of citizens to acquire and own immovable property. That right also, again, is for citizens, not for aliens. And of course, Section 24D places a duty on every citizen that resides in any part of the country that it shall be his duty to make positive and useful contribution to the advancement, progress, and well-being of the community where he resides. So there is an obligation on every citizen that wherever you reside, you exercise your residency rights. It is your duty to add value to the community where you reside. And the way to go about this, since we are now understanding that a large portion of this challenge is a product of illegal entry and migration into our nation by criminals, what I would suggest is decisive enforcement of law against crime and criminals. Decisive enforcement of law against crime and criminals. And two, let us isolate criminals irrespective of their ethnicity and religion. Let us isolate them. That will help us to deal with the component, the issues of sentiment. Once we isolate criminals wherever they are and decisively enforce law against criminality, that will be a step forward, and that is what I will be recommending as part of the solution out of this challenge of insecurity across the nation. Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
Thank you. Senator Ayo Akinyelure, pass. Senator Chukwuka Utazi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Chukwuka Utazi. I represent Enugu North Central, the seat of Enugu State. Mr. President, The issues that are before us here today, as represented in the motion all of us are sponsoring, one, it has a religious dimension, and that is Boko Haram. That is threatening the northeast, northwest, and the north central now. We have to rise to the occasion to get it done. The other issue to get at it is the governors that are negotiating with criminals and bandits. We have to look at it seriously and advise against that. They negotiate them, arms them to continue doing more because people will listen to them. The other issue is, the other dimension, if there's a farmer header crisis, and the solution to it is ranching. People have said that moving cattle up and down is a way of life. There was a time when we used to be naked. We don't wear clothes. That was our way of life before. Now we have to modernize. So the only way to get things done properly now is to modernize and make sure that the ranching, the free movement of cattle here and there should not continue. That's the solution to it. The other issue why if you check the land space between the south and the north, we have more land trade in the north than in the south. But the trouble of cattle headers are in the south. The essence is the market. They're looking for market. Because in the north, the cattle is not, cow meat is not consumed. But we consume it more in the south. So if we are going to get these things done properly, that the people who are looking for market should come to a place where they want to get it. Let us see how we can find common ground to make sure that things work well for us here. The other issue is the ECOWAS protocol that has allowed people to move freely into this country. I have said it on patent time that we have to look at the ECOWAS protocol to ensure how we can know people who are coming to the country or not. And even the visa on arrival that has been given is something that is not helping matters. You know, you see, criminals come into our country here, and because we say visa on arrival, they come over and cross over, and then people give them this by listen, it is not working. It is one of the recipe for the trouble we have in this place. The other issue is the total invitation.
The service you should round up.
I'm saying, Mr. President, that we have to be up and doing on this issue. We have to be open-minded. That's the only way we can do it. If not, we have crisis on our hands. And if this crisis comes, nobody is going to be excluded from it. Thank you so much.
Senator Nicholas Tofowomo.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Nicholas Tofowomo. I'm representing Ondo South. We've been talking about security in this chamber for so long, and I'm moved to tears because we are all not happy with security in Nigeria. It's obvious that our internal security is responsible to the police. But if you look at Nigerian police, they have nothing to offer. You see governors earning about 700 million every month for security. What are they using this money for? By the time you put, even if they should put half of this money together in a year, it's about 5 billion. If they spend 5 billion on Nigerian police in every state every year, Nigerian police will improve. You see Nigerian police, they cannot even arrest, they cannot combat crime. They don't have pocket radio, they cannot communicate. When you go to the police station, they tell you that they don't have money for petrol. They don't have this, they don't have that. I think we should not turn this place to a talk shop. We should reform Nigerian police. If we reform Nigerian police properly, then they'll be able to fight crime and there will be sanity in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Distinguished Tofowomo, this Senate has passed the amendments to the Police Act, the Police Trust Fund. In the police reform, the community policing was introduced. And the last time I was at home at the weekend, last weekend, I saw community police in my community. So it means they have started implementing the community policing, but we need to do oversight to see how they are doing, including the police trust fund, how they are spending the money. But I think we will never allow this Senate to be a talk shop. We'll always do things to ensure that we bring value, we add value to governance to ensure that we also represent our people well. Distinguished Senator James Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues. James Ebiowo, Manager, Delta South. Mr. President, the Constitution that we all swore to uphold at all times is very direct and specific on Section 14(2)(b), the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary responsibility of government. And because we're in government, one will not be tired of talking about the security of our people. And I think that is what we are doing. But our responsibility here is talk. We only talk and suggest what to be done. It doesn't go beyond this level. Ours is to talk. And that is what we are doing. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, Senator Bukar Chua from Bauchi State, arguably the oldest man in this place, has spoken my mind. And looking at the man directly, you will guess where he comes from. You will guess the ethnic group he represents. The man has spoken the minds of so many Nigerians, Mr. President. He said, almost about 20 years ago, they from Bauchi State, they have been suffering it. You corrected him because between Bauchi State and the rest of the world, there is a Yobe State. He said, yes, while you have suffered this for only 20 years, perhaps, we have suffered it for the last 100 years. You said so. And now the thing is spreading to the rest of Nigeria. Perhaps...
Let me correct that before you put words into my mouth and the media picks it up. I didn't say we have suffered it 100 years. These transhumans, the movement, the migration, has been on for more than 20 years. That's what I mean. And because I'm neighbor to him directly, the senatorial district and mine share a border. I know even before I was born, far before I was born, that transhumance has been happening. That's why I said maybe for 100 years, not the kind of crisis that we are witnessing today. The kind of crisis we are witnessing today is something new to us. That everywhere now, you have herdsmen from wherever they come having problems or security situations happening because of some of them that are criminal. Not all of them are criminal, but some of them are criminal, and that's the target. So you have a minute to round up.
Thank you for the opportunity. The problem here is that, thank you, timekeeper, you are a great man. The problem here is that, Mr. President, how many of these people have been arrested and prosecuted and sent to jail? That is the question most people are asking. A criminal must be arrested wherever he comes from. Whether the criminal is from Nigeria or is from outside the country, there is no way you go to Ghana and commit an offense and you will not be arrested and jailed. So, how many of them have been arrested? That is the issue that is before us. Those who have been charged with the responsibility of arresting and prosecution, they must tell Nigerians what they have been doing with these criminals that are in their midst. That is the problem that we have. Once that is solved, then Nigeria will move forward. Nigerians are very good at receiving visitors everywhere. You have Nigerians everywhere in the country. Those in the south and the north, those in the north and in the south. We are everywhere. We are living together. So, Mr. President, arrest, prosecute, and let these people be sent to jail. That is the point. Thank you.
Senator Ahmed Alim-Dume.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, I just want to remind our colleagues again that we are leaders. We are leaders in this country. We have over 10 governors here that after governing their state for 8 years, they come to the Senate. They are not moving back, they are moving forward. So we should take responsibility as leaders, and Nigerians are looking up to us as leaders. The problem of insecurity can be classified into 4, as we mentioned here. Number 1 is the Boko Haram that we are facing in the northeast. Number 2, the banditry. Number 3, the herdsmen. And number 4, armed robbers everywhere. Well, it's okay that we are speaking, but Mr. President, as you said last time, that we should not be tired. This committee, this Senate should be able today to come up again with either setting up a committee or ad hoc committee to look at this problem of insecurity as enumerated in the motion by our deputy leader. Nigerians are looking up to us. We are in government. We cannot say the executive. We are part of the government. And in fact, Nigerians are looking at us for solution. My heart bleeds when somebody is talking about Hausa Fulani. If they are talking about Hausa Fulani, Yoruba, and Igbo, what about you? You are not a Hausa man. You are not a Fulani man. You are not a Yoruba man. You are not an Igbo man. So it's me. I'm not a Fulani. I'm not a Hausa man. I'm not Kanuri man. And look at the problem we are facing in Borno. I'm not Igbo. And I'm not Ijo. You see, so wait, let's not, let me, so that we don't derail. Mr. President, I'm not Kaduri.
I think, please, Senator Ndime has a minute and a half. So allow him, yes, and don't listen to them, because you are also responding.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please, let us behave as leaders. These are criminals, as the minority leader said. And these criminals do not settle in one place. There are herdsmen out there. These herdsmen are not necessarily criminals. I was touched when in one of the videos, it was on our platform, a Fulani man was speaking to a Yoruba man. I think he saw it. Then the Fulani boy was speaking Yoruba answering him, speaking Yoruba back to him. I don't speak Yoruba. That means that boy has been in that place for a very long time. You can imagine what he will feel if suddenly he's given quick notice from that place. Maybe he doesn't even know anywhere, and his environment is just like that area. Let us put our thinking cap, let us take the responsibility as leaders and sit down, set up a committee and look at what we need to do, or this country is not doing right about the security. Let's dust up the 2 reports that fortunately you are the one that was responsible for it, and let's look at it again. We should not stop. We should continue telling the government what they need to do. But one other thing that I want to round up with is that the insecurity in the northeast is now what is affecting everywhere. Because these herdsmen used to come from Nigeria and Cameroon, and that road is blocked. So Boko Haram is not providing them the necessary safe environment to rear their cattle, so they move to southwest and to the southeast. We should look at this thing more than the way we are talking on this floor. There should be people that will sit down. We need experts to do public hearing and then forward to the executive our suggestion. God will know that we have done our bit. But if we don't do it sooner than later, this thing will collapse on us and we'll be the first victim. God forbid. Thank you.
Senator Obasani.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, Obasani representing Corner Central.
Mr. President, my intervention will be one or two observations because some of the previous speakers have made points on what I intend to say. But I would like to emphasize on one area which I think we need to be very careful because while we are having this problem and a lot of effort has been put by some state, particularly my own state, Kaduna State, where we have been experiencing this crisis of insecurity and these bandits have been attacking our community almost on a daily basis, sometimes weekly basis, where I come from, Bindungwari, Iwa, Igabi, Chukun, and Kajuru. We have been able to liaise with the Nigerian Air Force, but the problem is we have been facing a lot of frustration because of the way our neighboring states have been managing this crisis. Our position is that some neighboring states in recent times have been negotiating with these criminals, which on a daily basis kill our own people, destroy our communities, murder even children. But unfortunately, when we use the Air Force to attack them through aerial bombardment, they move to the neighboring states, and where some state governors will sit down with them, whining and dining with them, compensating them. And I don't understand why they are doing that. We have to work as a team if we want to succeed in fighting this insecurity. Because as far as we are concerned, you cannot compensate a criminal. These people are criminals. That is one. Secondly, we have to be very careful because we cannot politicize this issue of insecurity. A lot of people are grandstanding and politicizing this issue. It's not politics. Issue of insecurity is not politics, and we must be careful. If we want to end this problem, of course, yes, here in this very chamber, we talk about insecurity virtually on a daily basis here. But unfortunately, in most cases, we blame the Air Force, the Army, and even the police. But some state governors are not doing what is right. And we must also try as much as possible to call them to order if we want to end this crisis of insecurity. Finally, I want to...
Chief Whip, I don't think you're keeping the time.
Yeah. Lastly, Mr. President, although I have never been an ethnic jingoist, but I have seen some people making some comments here. We must be very careful. This issue of people talking about a particular ethnic group, we must be very careful, and I want to caution some of my colleagues. I am from Kaduna, and anybody who is from Kaduna knows that we are a cosmopolitan state. We have a lot of people who are from other part of the country, particularly from the southeast, south, and other part of Nigeria. And we are living with them in peace. That was even the reason why our state governor came out openly and made a broadcast and called our people to be very careful and handle this issue carefully. Yes, we cannot blame any Igbo man in Kaduna State because of what an Igbo man commits in other part of the country. So we must be careful. Please, let's be very cautious as leaders. We must be careful, and we should always know how we make comments on this issue because people are out there are watching also. Let's not grandstand. Let's not politicize this issue. I so submit, Mr. President.
Senator Mohammed Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Muhammad Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. It has been a recurring decimal all the time that we're sitting talking about national issues is about security. We have spoken about this security issue for a very long time, especially we that have been suffering from it, from Boko Haram to Northwest to the banditry in North Central. But one thing I know, we have never looked at it sentimentally. We are trying to bring it out to the nation to see the need for all of us to bring in solutions that will take care of all these security issues. Because what happens to your neighbor, if there is a fire in your neighbor's house, if you are not careful, it will move to you. And this is exactly what is happening in this country today. What is happening in our own areas are underreported. They are underreported. Because I cannot take a piece of paper today with names and start calling. So person have been killed, so person have been killed. Ours is outnumbered. Because we don't have the report. It's underreported. So if we are going to take the issue of security in this country, then we should not be sentimental. We should try as much as possible to focus on finding solutions to these problems. No foreigner will come into your country and start killing your people without a collaborator. Nobody. How does he find his way to come in? How does he get the arms? Who are the arm dealers in the black market today? Who are they? They are Nigerians. And they are from different ethnic groups. So the person you bring the arm to give him, to give you money, the person that will use the arm to kill someone, what is the difference between you and him that brought the arms? So if we want to look at the security situation in this country, Mr. President have done the needful now. We have all shouted here. I'm one person that called for Mr. President to remove the service chiefs, and he has done it. He has changed them. What we need to do, if we have solutions to these security problems in this country, we should now provide it to these new service chiefs. And that is why I support the need that these service chiefs should address this chamber. Let them tell us their plans. And we can do it exclusively. And then I want the Nigerian press to support the armed forces of this country. What they do should be reported more than what the criminals are doing. Today, the way you read in the paper is as if they have burned the whole town. This is what I have seen. But go and see how they are burning towns, and we don't see it in the press. This should be a collective thing. Both the military, the civilians, Nigerians, everyone is responsible to see that this security situation is tackled. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Ibrahim Olorogbe.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Ibrahim Yahya Olorogbe. I represent Kwara Central Senatorial District. Thank you, Mr. President. I think I have advantage, just like some of my colleagues, to have listened carefully to the brilliant contributions made by previous speakers. Mr. President, my contribution will be short. I come from a state that is known as a state of harmony. And we bear that name because of the peace that we enjoy. And we don't experience insecurity. However, we are seeing in our state, or in my state particularly, what we don't know before. Where I represent, which is the capital of the state, just yesterday, the report that we saw in the morning was a case of kidnap within the capital of the state. Luckily, the person that was kidnapped escaped. And if I have your permission, Mr. President, let me read what was posted by some of the youth in the area. They said, breaking news, the name of the person, I will skip it, earlier kidnapped yesterday, finally regained freedom as his abductor slept off while he escaped. We have failed government in Nigeria. That is what is reported, Mr. President. That's an indictment on all of us as leaders. Mr. President, I think what we have in this country is strange and it's new. It's not what we have been discussing. It seems things are changing new dimensions. As such, we have to think more deeper and out of the box. In the past, severally, we have discussed issue of insecurity in this country. We've discussed about this insecurity in the Northeast. We've looked at the Northwest with the banditry, and it's essential to North Central. But what we have now is based on what we are experiencing. are new happenings. The transhuman movement is what we have known. The state where I come from, we have every time, as a young doctor practicing, you do have times where you have S-men coming and they live peacefully with the people. But we don't experience kidnappings, we don't experience killing of people. Why is this happening? That means we need to look for the reasons. In getting the reasons, we get solutions. So in my view, while look...
Thank you. Distinguished, you can round up, please.
This motion to look at some other dimensions, including looking at the economic issues, looking at climatic issues, and some others, to be able to achieve an appropriate solution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Distinguished Senator Keita. What about Keita? Senator Mikaele Tokumbo.
Mr. President and distinguished members, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I think that I've also had the privilege of listening to the dimensions or perspectives of a lot of my colleagues. For me too, I think that the issues and causes of the security challenges that we have in this country are very clear to us. And of course, we've also had a lot of responses from the security agencies and all that we have up until now. And thankfully, we have a new set of appointees as service chiefs. And I think that part of the charge that we're going to give to them is perhaps, performance indices that will actually help us nip some of these, our security challenges in the, help us handle them appropriately. But you see, my own contributions principally will be to look for other dimensions outside of the hard attack, which we've been latching upon in the area of security responses and all of that. And by that, what I'm trying to say is that we should also look at how we can come up with social and economic responses that can address this problem. One of the major security issues that we have been able to identify is the issue of this cattle rearing. And I think that, cattle rearing is a business. And as such, it's still a pity that today we still have it being done in what we can liken to, and we'll describe as a very rural manner. And as such, I think the charge from the social and economic position is to also challenge the federal government to call on other agencies of government apart from the security agencies. And by that, what I mean is that the financial development agencies of government, the CBN, the Bank of Industry, and even the Bank of Agriculture, they should come up with reorientation plans for these cattle rearers. They should also try and help them reorganize this business in a manner that will make it efficient and commercially viable. So for me, I think that part of what we need to do is also to come up with these complementary roles in the security response to the security challenges that we have in the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, Buhari Abdul Fattah. Mr. President, the last 3 weeks has been very horrible and hell in my state. Mr. President, listening to most of my colleagues, I want to attest to you that it is true most of these people are foreigners. For example, 3 days ago, 2 of the people that were arrested were from the neighboring state. And particularly in my senatorial, the south were sharing border with the Benin Republic, and then the northern part with Niger Republic. Mr. President, I want us to look at it from a different angle entirely. We need what is called border patrol police. We don't have it in this country. And in a country that you don't have border patrol, your border will be very, very porous. These people are coming in since we agree that they are foreigners, they are coming in. If we have a border patrol police, we will be able to control some of them. When they come in, again, like somebody said, how do they get themselves armed with AK-47? If you see some of the sophisticated weapons these people were carrying in those areas, you will be shocked. Mr. President, it's high time, again, we have what is called database, so that we will be able to know our people in this country. So we're saying they are not Nigerian. Some of them will show you Nigerian passport. When they are showing you Nigerian passport, you cannot claim they are not Nigerian. So we need to reorientate our people and go to the root and get information on each and everybody from the birth up to the time they grow up, and think that will help the nation. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Professor Nora Ladi Dadut, Plateau South.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, I have this privilege to say one or two things. First, when we talk about kidnapping, killings, you know, there are certain elements that are even embedded in these two words. Kidnapping sometimes goes with raping, and you know how painful and traumatic this is, particularly to women. And then killings, of course, the children and the women. I don't have to go into the narrative. We are now talking about solutions. What are the solutions? First, I want to say this. What we should pay attention to is the causes of these killings and kidnapping. I think my distinguished colleague, Oloribe, said it, that there could be economic reasons or economic costs to this. Poverty, perhaps. And not just that, indiscipline. Our youth, you know, they are anxious, they are ambitious, and they are sometimes indisciplined. So what we need to do in this case, I think we should encourage not just discipline, we should go into research. One of my distinguished colleagues said that we should research into the causes and maybe bring out these causes and come up with something that will help to alleviate these problems. And I want to quote one part of the Constitution here. That is chapter 2, section 15, number 3. It says, for the purpose of promoting national integration, it shall be the duty of the state to provide adequate facilities for and encourage free mobility of people, goods, and services throughout the Federation. These we lack. We cannot move freely. We cannot transact freely. That is, our economic transactions are impeded because of this. So I think we should look into these causes. And in this House, we would be able to do it and bring up something that will help us. Thank you. This is my submission.
Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Oh, Senator Francis Wadausi.
Mr. President, you called me while I protested. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Francis Fadansi from Osun East. Before we vacated for the last holidays, we warned that when we come back, every one of us, we have stories to tell. Today, there's nobody, including Mr. President, that has no story to tell about security problems. Now, if they said fundamental human rights does not include criminals and animals. Then I will clarify another thing. I will clarify another message from Mr. President that we are mentioning Fulanis, and so on. Right from the days of our forefathers, we knew Fulani as the herdsman. And today they are living peacefully with us. These people that came from foreign wanted to dislodge and dismember the country. Now, what is the way to go? Because there's no way we can continue to complain. In my own state alone, it's not Fulani herdsmen that are causing problem. More than the Zamfara dislodge illegal miners that are really doing their crime there. We have a lot of criminals all over the country. What do we do so that at least we can maintain peace? I disagree that community policing should be under IG. When the central police is under IG and you have to take instruction before you act in the villages, it's going to be very weak. The community policing should be given to the local authorities. That's the local government. As it is now, is weak. You can try to energize the local government. Then the state police must be introduced so that there will be no need to come to headquarters to take permission. It will be too late. They will tackle all these things, and that has been helping the Southwest today. In Osun today, Amatekun is doing all the legal, is tackling the criminals, and we are having a little bit of peace. For now, the S-men, we have to, you are disturbing me.
Please try to round up.
We have to do a lot of overhauling and put right people in the right position so that we can maintain peace. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Geshambas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Geshambasi, Cross River South. Mr. President, I've listened very attentively to my colleagues, and I think that they have raised most of the fundamental issues on this very laudable motion. But there's one area that I think that we must address as Nigerians if we want to go forward with this, with securing our nation. Whether it is external security from external aggression or criminality within our nation. And I think that that is the issue of funding and the issue of budgeting. Recently, we have had to interact. I have interacted with a lot of security agencies because of the happenings in my state. And it has become clear to me that a lot of our security agencies are not adequately funded. And I think that this is an area that we as a Senate and as a National Assembly can look into. I know we have the police trust fund and so on, but it still appears that we do not have enough funding, particularly for our security agencies. I don't want to go into details. So I think that one of the things that we must look at is how to put together maybe a committee or even the standing committees to look into the funding, the adequate funding of these agencies, so that they can meet up with the pressure that we put on them. Of course, the second issue is the issue of recruitment of sufficient personnel. We know that there is a problem at the moment with the police recruitment, but we need to have adequate personnel in order to meet up with the demands that we put on our agencies. We are under-policed, we are under-secured, and it's pretty clear. If you do not have enough policemen to secure the population, then you will have insecurity. If you do not have enough security agents to secure the population, then you will have security issues. If you do not have enough equipment to secure our population, then we will have security issues. So I would like us to look into the issue of the funding of our security agencies for both the, well, maybe not the army, but particularly for the internal security agencies. I so submit, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President.
Senator Albert Basi Akpan.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished and respected colleagues, Senator Albert Basi Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast. Mr. President, I believe that based on the submissions of all my colleagues here, it is clear there is a consensus that the challenge facing us as a country requires a collective action. And then it's best known to all of us that we have a problem. I'm not here to talk about restructuring, Mr. President, because it is clear when we get to that bridge, definitely we'll have no cause but to sit down and talk about restructuring this country. After all, Mr. President has thrown the debate on restructuring on the National Assembly, and this is why we were elected. We were elected by people to represent their interests, and if they so wish, Mr. President, so be it. Mr. President, a study by the IMF has shown clearly that as a country, Nigeria must be able to create 5 million jobs annually in the next 10 years to create any meaningful impact. And I believe that you cannot differentiate insecurity from unemployment and hunger. It is not about herdsmen. It is not about militancy. It is not about kidnapping across the globe. Nigerians are very hungry. And an hungry man is an angry man. And we were elected by Nigerians to fight for their interests. If I cannot fight for the interests of my people, I have no business doing the National Assembly. So, Mr. President, I believe that we must be able to ask ourselves that in the last couple of years, we have been running a deficit budget. What has been the impact of the expenditure that we have invested in this country on the creation of jobs? And how many jobs have we been able to create in this country to change and affect the lives of Nigerians? Mr. President, I also want to say that we believe very strongly that as a country, we must be able to understand and also dimension what the states and local governments are doing. It's not about federal government alone. The battle before us must be approached with a very tactical approach. I'm not too excited about the new service chief, because when you look at the volume and the depth of the issues we have at hand, then I pity them, because they'll be under pressure from the first day. So a lot still needs to be done. And we as the National Assembly and you as the Senate President, we must stand up and speak, because in an unjust society, silence is a crime. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much, distinguished colleagues, for the various interventions. And I took time to invite every senator who signified interest to speak, because the sponsor is, of course, the deputy leader, but the rest of us are co-sponsors. And this is one issue that we'll never get tired of discussing in this chamber, because this is the most important issue today in the lives of Nigerians. So we'll continue to talk about the security situation in the country. We'll continue to partner with the executive arm of government, either in the area of ensuring that there are more personnel recruited to enhance the capacity of the security agencies, or making more funds available for them. And I agree with our colleagues who said that we need to have more resources for the security agencies. There's no better investment today in Nigeria by government than making more resources available to our security agencies, because security is the major thing that government can do and change the lives of the people for the better. So we'll continue to discuss it here, to debate it here. This will not be the last, but the tone, the issue, the main theme should change. that maybe by the time we discuss this kind of thing here again, it should be that we have made a shift, that we have moved positively, that we are trying to only make it better. I also believe that there must be better and more intense partnership between the federal government and the states. We cannot expect the federal government alone to address the insecurity in the country. I believe that at one point, the state governments are closer to the people. And in fact, even the local governments, some of the issues can be better settled at the local level. Yes, because the federal government cannot go and settle two communities fighting in a state or in a local government. But the local government chairman or even the councillor could come in. But what the federal government must do is to arm the security agencies properly and well, so that they are able to deal with any challenge, any situation that requires their attention. I also believe that the Senate and indeed the National Assembly has been consistent on the issue of security. In fact, the first motion I moved in this National Assembly in 1999 was on insecurity in the Northeast and the Northwest. That was in 1999. When we had banditry, there was no Boko Haram at that time. It was banditry, and an ad hoc committee was set up. We went around the Northeast and the Northwest to the states to see how the military and the state governments can work together to address the situation. We used to have what they call then kwanta kwanta. The bandits will just come stand on the highway and operate. All they will do is ask everybody to come out of your car and lie down, and they take possessions and disappear. They are not killing people recklessly like these people are doing today. But the situation escalated to something else and graduated to Boko Haram in the Northeast. So it's something that National Assembly, the parliamentarians will continue to talk about. We should not be frustrated. We should not be discouraged. What we are talking here is be listened to, even when it appears to us that there is no sufficient implementation of what we are doing. But the executive listens to what we are talking about. And Nigerians also listen. And of course, some Nigerians will not understand that we don't have execution power. But we can continue to oversight, continue to insist and be persistent that these are real issues, and government, that includes us, must address the issues. It is also very important. Recently, in many parts of the country, political leaders have decided to throw caution to the wind. Political leaders must be careful. We must be careful of what we say in a very incendiary environment, because the people listen to us as their leaders. So if we appear to be divisive, they will find justification in taking actions that all of us will regret. Nobody is saying the situation is okay. The situation is not okay. If you have criminals occupying areas that they shouldn't be, of course the security agencies must take the necessary steps to ensure that they address the situation. But these are criminals, and that is a specialized criminal activity. All other criminals must be flushed out. Otherwise, how do we have peace? Just like Senator Dambal Kachua said, we have to address criminality. We have to defeat criminality. But we also have to nip in the bud that desire, that excitement sometimes of people speaking as champions of their tribes and ethnic groups. We are simply leaders, and the people of this country expect us to keep them united. And this is a responsibility that we will account for to the people, and we will also account for to God Almighty, who created us and made us the leaders. Finally, I want to also say that when our committees will screen the service chiefs, I'm sure the issues we have been discussing in this Senate and some of the committee chairs have been in this assembly for a long time, so they know all the issues that we have been talking about. We should be as exhaustive and as critical as possible when we screen the service chiefs, so that they get the impression and the perspective the National Assembly has on this insecurity, because that is going to be our own perspective. The executive may have a different perspective, they are concerned, but maybe the way they think we should go about fighting it is not probably the same way that we think we should address this. Let's enrich the purviews of the new service chiefs, so that they have all the perspectives, and it is for them to go and think of their tactics and strategies and whatever they will do to ensure that they reclaim the insecurity that we have for security of Nigerians. I want to thank everyone once again, and we'll now go for the prayers, and thereafter we take the motion of the year, and that is the DSP's motion. So we take the prayers. Prayer 1, urge the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to direct the National Security Advisor and the newly nominated service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police to devise a proposal to rejig the nation's security architecture and disposition of forces for more effective countermeasures against the current security challenges, particularly in the rural areas. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Yes, Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, Niger North. I want to amend this, number 1, to read, urge the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to direct the National Security Advisor and the nominated service chiefs when confirmed, because we still have that duty to do. So we just have to indicate that, yes, it's still a process. The nominated
I think I have a problem with that. The problem is they are working at the moment. If you say until confirmed, then it means they shouldn't do anything. Is that correct? Yeah, it's temporary, but they are working. So if you say until they are confirmed,
The reason why I'm bringing this up is we have a statutory duty, a constitutional duty of this confirmation. And I believe we should not leave it hanging in that particular manner.
Deputy Chief Whip, we are not leaving it hanging. At the moment, let me give you an instance. The Chief of Army Staff went to Borno State and had meetings with the leaders of operations Lafia Dole. He's still not confirmed. If we say when confirmed, there is a vacuum. And we don't need that vacuum. Sorry, maybe I'm talking too much about this. Okay, so you are withdrawing. Okay. So those who favor prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Urge the state governors to reinvigorate rural governance and convene statewide intercommunal conclaves and dialogues to promote local conflict resolution and inter-ethnic harmony. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. Urge the federal government to immediately embark on an operation to checkmate proliferation of firearms and enforce the laws against illegal possession of firearms by arresting, disarming, and punishing anyone in illegal possession of arms. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4. Urge the state governors. We remove the T there, the TO. Urge the state governors to implement the National Livestock Transformation Plan, which is a modern scheme designed to eliminate transhumans in order to prevent farmer-herder conflicts and activate highly productive livestock sector in Nigeria. Those who have this prayer say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5. Urge the security agencies to actively deploy drones and helicopters to monitor forests and ungoverned areas in Nigeria to identify illegal camps of armed bandits. Those in favor of this prayer, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Not yet. Prayer 6. Urge the federal government to adequately equip the Nigeria Immigration Service and the Nigeria Customs Service to police and monitor our borders using technology to check illegal immigrants and checkmate smuggling of firearms and light weapons. Those in favor of prayer 6, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 7, urge the federal government to resuscitate and inaugurate the National Task Force Commission, Commission to combat the proliferation of light arms, small arms, and ammunition. Those in favor of this prayer, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer, Senator Otazi.
I'm Chukwuka Otazi. I represent Enugu North Central District of Enugu State. My additional prayer goes thus. Urge the federal government to review the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of peoples of West Africa to checkmate the infiltration of criminal elements into Nigeria.
Senator Geshambasi.
Thank you, Geshambasi. Cross River South, I rise to second the motion. The additional prayer as moved by
Those in favor of the additional prayer, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer, distinguished Solomon Adiola Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleague. My additional prayer is observe 1 minute silence for all the lives of Nigerians that have the departed souls during this issue of insecurity across the country. Sir? Yes, insurgency and the banditries and so on.
Okay. Are you seconding? Any seconder, Senator Said Al-Ghali?
My name is Said Al-Ghali. I represent Gombenos. I move the motion. I second the motion as moved by Senator Olamileko. Additional prayer.
Okay. Those in favor of the additional prayer, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Senator Mohammed Sani Musa.
Thank you. I'm Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East. The additional prayer by my senior colleague, Senator Otazi, asking us to look at reviewing ECOWAS protocol. I think we don't have that mandate because Nigeria has already signed that. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any additional prayer? Okay. No, you can have only one additional prayer. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Urge the President to direct the Nigerian Immigration Service to review, if not stop entirely, the visa on arrival policy to shore up the security of Nigerians.
Okay, let me say this, even before any seconder. Those people we are talking about, these herdsmen, they don't ask for visa. No. These are not visa people. These are not people who they don't. So, but no. I will still ask for voting. Okay, thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Leader of the Senate. The Senate, the last motion. No. 1 minute silence. May the souls of our compatriots who lost their lives to insurgency, armed banditry, militancy, and in the hands of kidnappers rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The eighth order of the day, which I assume is the last one, and has been described, Mr. President, as the motion of the year, standing in the name of Senator Ovie Omo-Agege on the proper constitution of the Delta State House of Assembly by restoring Ethiop West State Constituency 1 with code SC/11/DT by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in compliance with the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as altered, and order of the Federal High Court. Mr. President, we may wish to invite Senator Ovie Omo-Agege to move the motion.
Senator Omo-Agege, the DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you so much for your courtesy and your indulgence. Ovie Omo-Agege, Delta Central Interior District. Mr. President, I rise to move the motion for the proper constitution of the Delta State House of Assembly by restoring Ethiop West State Constituency 1 with code number SC/11/DT by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in compliance with the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, and order of the Federal High Court. Mr. President, the Senate notes that the Delta State House of Assembly currently has 29 elected members, which is less than 3 or 4 times the number of seats which the Delta State has in the National Assembly, and hence does not conform with the combined effects of the provisions of Section 6, 36, 91, 112 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. Mr. President, reminded that Ethiop West State Constituency 1 with code number SC/11/DT in Ethiop West Local Government Area of Delta State was duly created and approved by the National Assembly as a separate and distinct state constituency to be represented by an elected member in the Delta State House of Assembly, and this constituency has been duly stated and identified in gazettes of the federal government under the captions, quote unquote, know your central district, federal constituencies and electoral wards in Delta State, end of quote. Mr. President, further reminded that Ethiop West State Constituency 1 was and is made up of the following electoral wards: Jesse Ward 1, Jesse Ward 2, Jesse Ward 3, Jesse Ward 4, Mosoga Ward 1, and Mosoga Ward 2. Observe, Mr. President, that Ethiop West State Constituency 1, consisting of Jesse Ward 1, Jesse Ward 2, Jesse Ward 3, Jesse Ward 4, Mosoga Ward 1 and 2, satisfies the requirements of Section 113 of the 1999 Constitution as altered, and this justifies its creation and approval by the National Assembly. Mr. President, worried that despite Ethiop West Constituency 1 being a duly created and approved state constituency by the National Assembly, pursuant to a provision of the Constitution, INEC willfully, negligently, unlawfully, or arbitrarily omitted or removed this state constituency 1 with code number SC/11/DT from the approved list of state constituencies previously suppressed, addressed to the Clerk of the National Assembly on the 2nd of June 2004. Mr. President, concerned that this singular willful, negligent, unlawful, arbitrary act by INEC has created a real and continuing political suppression and oppression of the electorate, stakeholders, and good people of Ethiop West Constituency 1. Cognizant, Mr. President, that to stop the continuing suppression of their constitutionally guaranteed right to proper parliamentary representation, representatives of the electorate, stakeholders, and the good people of Ethiop West Constituency 1 lawfully took their grievances to the Federal High Court holding in Warri and challenged the actions of INEC in suit number Federal High Court /WRO/CS/21/215 for omitting and removing their constituency from the approved list of state constituencies previously suppressed, addressed to the Clerk of the National Assembly on 2nd of June 2004. Mr. President, are aware that in a well-considered judgment delivered by Honorable Justice M. Shitu Abubakar on the 25th day of March 2015, the Federal High Court upheld the arguments of the representatives of the electorate, stakeholders and the good people of Ethiopia West Constituency 1, and granted their reliefs. The judgment and judgment order of the court, Mr. President, are attached here. Copies of the certified copies of the judgment have been distributed, Mr. President. Mr. President notes that the Senate in its judgment, the Senate notes, sir, that in its judgment, the Federal High Court unequivocally declared that the Delta State House of Assembly as it currently stands is not properly constituted in line with the provisions of Section 6, 36, 91, and 112 of the Constitution as amended. And the same court ordered INEC to restore Ethiopia West Constituency 1 as a state constituency with an elected member in the State House of Assembly. Mr. President, the Senate further notes that the Federal High Court also declared that INEC does not have the discretion or the power whatsoever to suppress the existing Ethiopia West State Constituency 1 with code number SC/11/DT having been lawfully approved by the National Assembly. Hence, the suppression is illegal, unlawful, null, and void. Mr. President, the Senate recognizes that amongst others, the Federal High Court equally directed INEC to immediately restore and conduct election to fill the seat for Ethiopia West Constituency 1 in the Delta State House of Assembly. And the electoral area covered by this constituency shall be the present JC Ward 1, JC Ward 2, JC Ward 3, JC Ward 4, Mosogas Ward 1, and Mosoga Ward 2. Mr. President, the Senate observes that INEC is yet to comply with this unambiguous decision, declarations and directives of the court made since the 25th day of March 2015. Accordingly, results, Mr. President: 1. Approve the immediate restoration of Ethiopia West State Constituency 1 with code number SC/11/DT comprising of JC Ward 1, JC Ward 2, JC Ward 3, JC Ward 4, Mosoga Ward 1, and Mosoga Ward 2, in line with the decision, declarations, and directives of the Federal High Court. 2. Direct INEC to immediately restore Ethiopia West State Constituency 1 with code number SC/11/DT comprising of JC Ward 1, JC Ward 2, JC Ward 3, JC Ward 4, Mosoga Ward 1, and Mosoga Ward 2. 3. Direct INEC to comply with this resolution ahead of the next general election and the election of the members of the next Delta State House of Assembly in compliance with Section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended by restoring Ethiopia West State Constituency 1 in Ethiopia West Local Government Area of Delta State, consistent with the orders of the Federal High Court. And finally, to seek the concurrence, Mr. President, of the House of Representatives to the resolution in line with Section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Mr. President, I so move. Thank you.
I will take only one contribution before I go into the prayers. Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Niger North Senatorial District. I'm from Niger State. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this motion is very straightforward. And last year, just before we went on recess, we also considered a similar one. The key guiding principle here is the fact that there is a court judgment and for which copies have been made available to everybody to see and verify. So I think without taking much of our time, given the fact that of course we've agreed not to overstay in this chamber, I want to say that this motion as presented is in order, and I urge my colleagues to support the prayers because it's a straightforward motion as it is.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, we go to the prayers. Prayer 1. Approve the immediate restoration of Ethiopia West State Constituency 1 with the code SC/11/DT comprising of JC Ward 1, JC Ward 2, JC Ward 3, JC Ward 4, Mosaga Ward 1, Mosaga Ward 2 in line with the decision, declarations, and directives of the Federal High Court. Those who have this prayer say aye. Those against any say aye. Prayer 2, direct INEC to immediately restore Ethiopia West State Constituency 1 with code SC/11/DT comprising of Jesse Ward 1, Jesse Ward 2, Jesse Ward 3, Jesse Ward 4, Mosaga Ward 1, and Mosaga Ward 2. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against any that say aye. Prayer 3, direct the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to comply with this resolution ahead of the next general election and election of members of the next Delta State Assembly in compliance with Section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended by restoring Ethiopia West State Constituency 1 in Ethiopia West Local Government Area of Delta State consistent with the orders of the Federal High Court. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against any that is aye. And prayer 4, seek the concurrence of the House of Representatives to this resolution in line with Section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as altered. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against any that is aye. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Next time, probably because of the COVID situation, we may not be sitting after 3 o'clock unless the situation demands so. Just to be cautious. With this, we have come to the end of today's plenary session, and the Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 11th day of February 2021. Tomorrow is Thursday, not Wednesday, so I have to put it again. Maybe I am tired. The Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, Thursday, the 11th day of February 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt. Thank you.